you just are very methodical on how you teach the class, right? So it's very specific. This week it's pausing, this week it's listening, this week it's reflecting. And they're so simple. They're such simple things. But to really have somebody walk you through that and practice that is, to me, the thing that's been, one of the most helpful things.
Welcome to The Balanced Leader, hosted by Yan Dang, a leadership and life coach with over 20 years of corporate experience. Drawing from her journey as a former global finance leader and second-generation immigrant, Yan understands the unique challenges women face in male-dominated workplaces. Each episode offers insights on balancing masculine and feminine energies, mastering soft skills, and building emotional intelligence. Join us to transform frustration into empowerment and unlock your authentic leadership potential.
Hey, podcast listeners, welcome to today's episode. I have a very special guest here. This is Abi. She's been part of my Command Leadership Coaching Group for high achieving women since January. And I brought her onto the show to specifically talk about what it's been like for her to be in command and what drew her to it. So let me introduce you to Abi. Abi, can you tell us more about yourself and welcome to the show?
Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I really think that I found you just based on some deep diving into myself that I was looking for, because I had gone through a traumatic firing from a very public-facing job in a small town. And the skills that I was initially hired for and my personality, what, those folks originally, wanted out of me and wanted, what I brought to the table, were then kind of turned around and twisted, and a different group of people came in, and then those skill sets and personalities were no longer desired and in fact became a problem. And so I was really questioning, who I am and, my personality, and am I too much, and all of these things. And I found you on LinkedIn, I think, is originally how I came across you. And I just started sort of following the things that you were posting and really resonating with it. And then, you had offered, I think, like a 15-minute call or something. And I just reached out to you. I was like, this lady is never going to respond to me. I'm sure she has like a million people that are trying to talk to her. And you did just right away. And we connected. And then you sent me an email that was like, you're not too much and you're not a problem. And so I was really touched by that, and just was like, basically trying to glean everything that I could from you, I think, at that point.
Yeah, well, I actually remember you signed up for How to Be Heard in a Room Full of Men, the Leadership Lab, which was interesting because you have a loud voice, right? You also are very direct. And I think when you came to me, you're like, well, I don't think that I have a problem speaking up, but there are some other things that I want to work on, right? And I want to understand my range. And I remember specifically when we talked, I was like, it's not so much like the directness of how you say things, it's more the relational piece of it. And we were talking a lot about your ability to create bridges in relationship with other folks, right? Because you have I don't know, it's not so much you have a big personality, you're just very grounded and strong in yourself, which I think there are people that find that sometimes threatening or intimidating.
For sure. For sure. And that's probably, intimidating is one of the most used words to describe me. So that sounds very, very common.
Yeah. And I think what I was like helping you to see is that that's not a problem within itself, right? But the relational piece and understanding the ways that people are threatened by us is just good data to have, right? Because sometimes I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's kind of good that sometimes people are scared of you, right? Like, that's okay in some circumstances. And in others where we want to be more approachable, that's also data for us to be able to dial up and dial down according to ourselves, right? How we want to be felt and seen. So I kind of differentiate it from like, we're not shape shifting to have other people feel comfortable necessarily, but we're more, how do we want to show up so that we create the relationship that we want?
Absolutely. And that's what it's about, is the relationships. And so that was a really important component to me as well. And so I was feeling a little frustrated why, I was, these people felt alienated by me for whatever reason, when I'm like, that's the thing that I care the most about. So how do we make it better?
Yeah, so this is great. So tell me more about, so we're about half in, right? You started with the Command Leadership Coaching Group. So this was the first time I launched this specific group in January. We actually have a cohort that's going to kick off in April. But as you've been in the group, it's been about 10 sessions so far. What has it been like for you?
I think for me, really connecting with my emotions and my feelings has been some of the work that you have, tasked us with as far as homework and things to think about, through the week and little pieces, right? Like the little girl and then, just some other things. And so I have never really journaled. I've never really done much of that type of work before. And so it was hard for me at the beginning, but I found that when I started writing and getting into it, then I did have thoughts about it, and just reconnecting with myself as a little, as my inner child and my inner voice of who I wanted to be and who I wanted to protect. So that was one thing that really has stuck with me. And then I think just like you just are very methodical on how you teach the class, right? So it's very specific. This week it's pausing. This week it's listening. This week it's reflecting. And they're so simple. They're such simple things. But to really have somebody walk you through that and practice that, that is to me the thing that's been, one of the most helpful things.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious too of like when you thought about joining Command, what was it for you? What was the thing that you wanted to get out of it for yourself?
I think initially I was actually, to be honest, when I first started the group, like the command group, I was like, I'm not sure that I am the person for this group because I think, as you said before, like it's mostly for people who do struggle to have their voice heard or are a little bit too timid to like speak up. And that's not really me at all. So I was like, oh, I don't know if it's for me. But then right away I felt very comfortable because you just would pick up on certain things or whatever you said just really resonated with me. And I'm like, okay, but I can focus on the more relational piece, which is what I think I was missing and how to be more grounded. I think I'm a little bullheaded and I've had a chip on my shoulder, from some of my past things, just growing up and, men. And so I think I had gone into it with this chip on my shoulder, really like, no, I'm going to make people listen to me and I'm going to do this and what I'm thinking and this idea is correct. And that's not necessarily the case. And just reframing it in a different way makes your voice be heard so much more, I think.
Yeah. And I think a big thing that, what you're touching on is I always say that there's a continuum, right? And of course, in the Leadership Lab, we talk about being more of that passive side, the more ghost or good girl versus being more of that like activated, like, ball busting person. And so it shows up for different people in different ways, right? I would say all of the women in the container are powerful in different ways, but it's how they express that and show that up. And part of command is first being able to command yourself, that relationship with yourself so that you can be grounded and so that you have a strong relationship and you don't have to defend so strongly. And I think that's what I've been seeing with your work, Abby, is just like, you're just like, oh, I noticed the defensiveness, but I noticed there's a choice. Like, do I go there or do I not? Can I be more expansive and open up to other things? Can you talk a little bit more about how that's been showing up for you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think to your point, I mean, sometimes the right call is to be a little bit more defensive if that's what it is needed in the moment, but to be able to evaluate that in the moment and take that pause, do that reflection without having a big flare up and then being so defensive that it's just not going to come across or it's just not going to land. And so for me, I think the thing that I've taken away the most is the listening and the pausing and just being a little calmer in my interactions with people. I started a new job. And so getting to know new personalities and how people work together and that type of thing. And I've just been doing more listening and, waiting longer if there is a meeting of, let's say 8 or 10 people in the room and not being the first one to speak up all the time and just waiting and see what other people have to say and that type of thing.
Yeah, I think this is like for you, it's like holding space for other people, but not diminishing yourself or not shrinking yourself down, right? Like you're still there, but you don't have to jump in so much, right? In your bones because of your relationship with yourself that you are valuable and you're there for a reason. So there's less like needing to jump in.
Right. For sure. For sure. And that's a key point too. The valuable, we just did that one, 2 weeks ago, I think. And every time I got pinged in our group chat, I would just repeat that. And it was really impactful for me.
Yeah, tell me more. How was that impactful for you?
I think I come from a place of that traditional male culture where I'm the patriarch, I'm the man, and women don't get an opinion. I was raised in a very religious, very conservative environment, and that was just the way it was. And so I kind of fought and clawed my way out of that, which I'm really happy that I did, but I've never gotten that value, from my dad specifically. I've never been I mean, he would tell me he loved me occasionally, I'm sure, when I was a younger kid. But like in my adult years, I have never gotten that I'm proud of you or you've done a great job in all of your business and career and that type of thing. And so I think that was really important for me to just hear that and be telling myself that.
Hey, podcast listeners, if you've built a career you're proud of, but still find yourself second guessing what you've said, over explaining your thinking, or walking out of meetings thinking, I should have said more. Listen, the issue isn't your capability. It's that you're still leading from a pattern that got you here, but won't get you to the next level. You are likely over-functioning, anticipating reactions, managing everyone else's emotions while minimizing your own. That's survival energy. And you can be effective from it, but you cannot command from it. That's exactly why I created Command, a 6-month leadership accelerator for women who are ready to stop performing leadership and start embodying it, where you build emotional steadiness under pressure, communicate with precision, and hold authority without overworking or over-explaining. If you're feeling this, the next step is to book a free 30-minute Command consultation with me. We'll look at where you are, what's keeping you stuck, and whether Command is the right fit for your next level. You can schedule your call using the link in the show notes. And how has it been for you with all of the women in Command? Like, what has it been like for you to connect with them, get coaching with them?
I love this group of women so much, and I don't even necessarily know them so well. I just know that I feel this kinship with them. And I actually have this other example. I have a personal trainer, and she has a group of people, and there's a group chat, and there's an app for it, and there's all this stuff. And they're very rah-rah. And I told her from the beginning, I was like, I don't need this. I'm not the type of person that needs like, hey, you did a great job today. You made it to your workout, good job. I said, I'm not going to engage probably very much. I'll read the content and whatever, but I just don't need that from this group of people. And she was like, oh, that's fine. And I feel the complete opposite about this group. Command is like, I know I could reach out to any of these women at any time to say anything that I needed to. It's just a kinship. And I think it's because we're all in the same place, right? We're all looking for the same thing. And not that the workout club wasn't that for them, but this is just a little bit different. And then also, I think that I felt so safe with these women as well as comfortable because I felt like they get me because there are some of them in Command that are similar to me, that are very outspoken, that are very direct. And I was like, oh, they've heard the same thing, that they're too much or that they're whatever, they need to smile more or whatever it is. I'm like, they could identify with some of these things I'm saying. So for me, it was the kinship and just how safe I feel in really being vulnerable and saying like true, like everyday things. Will this happen? And it was a really crappy day and the support that I get from those women.
Yeah, I think like one of the big things that draw folks to the group is that you can have your emotions, right? And we're not sort of like indulging in them. We're actually just processing them. There's nothing wrong with those emotions. And to your point, right? It's not just all this rah, right? It's like, oh, you feel really hurt. Okay, great. Thanks. Like this is a big thing to even recognize that and to notice it and to validate it, right? So I appreciate you sharing all of that and, what you're getting out of the group and how everybody gets connected.
Yeah, I think it's the vulnerability as well, because in this group, we've all shared some really important things, some really hard things and big things that each of us are dealing with, both personally and in our careers. And it's not just about your career, it's about all kinds of things that are affected. We're kind of expected to be the perfect mom, the perfect wife, the perfect everything, and still have it all together and be this amazing person in our careers. So to be able to recognize that that's just not the way it is all of the time, and that's okay, is very significant.
Yeah, that's so great. I remember just last week, somebody was like, yeah, I was told I'm too blonde, I'm too old, I'm too young, right? So I think there's just also the camaraderie of like, oh, like everybody's hearing this. It's not just me. And it normalizes the experience so that you can have a little separation from it and the story or the like how you take it so personally and be like, okay, well, how do I want to take in this, right? Do I want to have a big emotional reaction to this? Do I want to see that there's data from it? Am I ready to move on from it, right? And am I angry with it? And then I want to shift. So there's a lot of choices that we all are exposed to as we notice everybody else dealing with very similar things. And I think the biggest thing here is choice, right? We can always pause and choose how we want to look at all of these situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, tell me if if you know that there are women, because I know there's probably women listening that are really curious about command. Maybe they're on the fence. Maybe they're thinking about it. What would you say to those women?
I can't recommend it enough. I think that the process that you go through and the things that you teach, especially the first one that I did with the how to be heard in a room full of men, I had never heard the masks, the survival masks, and then
the command states.
The command states, yeah. And I was just like blown away because I was all of them. I've been all of them at, whatever time. And I texted a girlfriend of mine and I was like, you have to listen to this. It's like amazing. And so that was really the first thing that probably blew me away. And so I wanted to sign up for the deeper dive for sure.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much. And we'll put in the show notes. I did a whole episode on those command states and survival states as well, so we could bring the work out there more. But thank you so much for sharing your experience, Abi. I know that it's been a journey for you. You are such a powerhouse in the group, and I am so happy to have you in our group sharing and, of course, sharing your experience with all of these folks on the Balanced Leader as well.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Is there any parting words you want to, if somebody's out there listening thinking that they're too much or has been told that they're too much or has grown up with a father who's like, not been very supportive of their daughter? Is there something that you want to share for them to hear?
Well, I think the most important thing is lean into who you are. You are who you are. You're a fabulous person, exactly how you were created. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And those are phenomenal skills to have to change the world in whatever it is that you're passionate about. So don't hold back and be who you are.
Thank you. Well, thanks so much for being on the show again. And all of you listeners out there, if you want to connect with Abi, can they connect with you on LinkedIn, or what's the best way to connect with you?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'd love it.
Okay. And what's your last name? Can you say?
Yes, my last name is Almandinger. It's Almandinger. I'm the only Abi Almandinger out there, so I'm easy to find.
Okay.
And my first name is Abi. I'm just weird all the way around.
True.
So.
Yeah, Abi. I know. I remember seeing it. I'm like, is that spelled properly? Like on our side, I was like, did somebody not spell that right? Thank you again so much for being on the show. And I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see you next Tuesday when we have our command group together.
Thanks so much. This was great, Yan.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you for being a part of the Balanced Leader community. We hope you found today's episode inspiring and actionable. For more resources and to connect with Yan, visit us at aspire-coaching.co. Until next time, keep leading with confidence and purpose.
Hey, before you go, if you're ready to stop leading from pressure and start leading with presence, I want to invite you to take the next step. You can book a free 30-minute command consultation with me to explore whether command is the right fit for your next leadership journey. This is where we'll look at the gap between how capable you are and how you're currently being experienced and what needs to shift for you to lead with more clarity, authority, and ease. If that's been on your mind, this is your next step. You can schedule your call using the link in the show notes.